Turning over to John, COO of World Energy. The floor is yours.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rebecca. And I just want to thank Patty, Dr. Chung, and John for some very informative information about Florida Power and Light, US Gain, and then obviously Cummins. So thank you very much. And again, Rebecca, thank you for moderating this. Good afternoon and good morning to the folks of the West Coast. My name is John Zeidler. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Operations Officer for World Energy. As Rebecca mentioned earlier, I've spent about 25 years or so in the fossil fuel industry with a number of companies Amerada has starting out with. Worked 20 years with Sunoco and then went to Endeavor, which was acquired by Marathon in 2018. I came to World Energy in March of 2019. And it's kind of interesting. I was kind of at a crossroads in my career where I could stay in the oil and gas industry, but had a chance to meet Gene Gabolis, who is the founder and CEO of World Energy. And, you know, at a point in my career where I can actually pick who I want to work for and do what I want to do, I found Gene to be really enlightening, passionate about what World Energy was doing for lowering carbon footprint. And then I got to meet the team. And I think one of the things that I immediately recognized is the talent that we had and the seasoned veterans within the World Energy team. So it made it very easy to make that transition. So today I'm here to discuss World Energy sustainability goals and how we get together with you to meet them. So I'll go to the next slide. You know, carbon reduction is no longer a choice. It used to be kind of a thing you talked about, but you really didn't follow through. But today it's an obligation. 90% of the Standard & Poor's 500 report on sustainability. And we have 7 states right now that are committed to have net zero emissions by 2050, which is extraordinary. We also have obviously U.S. cities, 400 cities in the United States, and 25 states that have signed on to the Paris Accord agreement. So very, very interesting. I look back and I think, you know, when we looked at the previous administration, we were kind of going down this path. 2016 came, and we had an administration change, and it seems like the emphasis to get to lower carbon through you know, companies out there has really gone that way. People are making a choice, and they want to lower the carbon footprint throughout the world globally. So it's just great to see that happening. So who's making the commitments? Who's involved? If you look at the airlines, you have United, Delta, Virgin Atlantic that have made sustainability commitments and net zero commitments. From your supply chain leaders, you have Amazon, Cisco, Walmart going out there and making statements that they're going to lower their carbon footprint, and they're going to do it. There's not a we want to do it, we're going to make it happen. And the attitude is reaching out to people that can supply that low carbon product. Ground fleets, UPS and FedEx, and John from US Gain mentioned that we do see a lot of still CNG vehicles, but UPS and FedEx have come to us this year looking for that a bio blend, and we are able to supply that for them. Slide 4, just want to talk about who we partner with, you know, from the air to the ground. So in July 8th of 2020, we had an exciting announcement that working with the folks over at Shell Aviation, World Energy was able to partner with Shell, and we're able to produce sustainable aviation fuel for Amazon. And that's a huge win for us. Is you see every week Amazon putting out more commercials on how they're lowering their carbon intensity. We want to partner with folks like that, and we were glad that we had the opportunity not only to work with Amazon, but to work with Shell. And that's one of the things about World Energy is that, you know, we want to stand behind your success. We don't want to be in the forefront of your success. We want to help you get there, and we want to stand behind you. And so then we go from packages to people. So we send all those packages out that people like to get from Amazon. But we also work with United Airlines, and United's one of the forefront leaders in sustainable aviation fuel. You know, they have a commitment, you know, emerging as one of the most environmentally conscious airlines. And through a lot of work from our commercial team and a lot of out-of-box thinking, we were able to sign United as one of our first customers. And if you fly on their planes, you will see in their brochures that they are proud to display that they fly their fuel on World Energy renewable jet fuel. So some exciting things there. But we always say, if you can trust us at 36,000 feet, you can certainly trust us on the road. And we've partnered on the road with some, you know, nice size major fleets with Ryder, and then UPS. And, you know, that's been a really nice relationship. We signed the deal with them in 2020. They are purchasing our renewable diesel 90 and a biodiesel blend of 10%. And both we're very happy with the relationship, and I believe they're very, very happy with our commitment to them. We also continue to go out and solicit regional fleets for both renewable diesel and biodiesel fuels. So very, very proud to have those companies in the fold, and certainly looking to grow with larger and strategic partners throughout the country. We talk about make the change you can today. You know, we look at the different alternative fuels out there, and we by no means are competing with electric or renewable hydrogen, RNG. We're looking to partner with them. We want alternative solutions out there. What we don't want is fossil fuels. We want folks to be lowering the carbon footprint for the environment globally. And so when we go out there, we make sure that to let the people we work with and the people we partner with that we're here as a solution. And, you know, as Bill Gates says here, you know, the cheap fuels right now, if you want to, you know, fly, rail, truck, it's in the it's in bio-renewable fuels. The one exciting thing about that is you don't have to change your fleet out right now. If you're running diesel, you can run on our bio-renewable fuels. And that's really exciting for us. So it's a way that you can immediately start to make the change within your fleet. Some of the products that we're in today, obviously we do biodiesel fuels, we do renewable diesel, renewable jet, which we call sustainable aviation fuel, and renewable gasoline. And we're one of the first in California to actually offer a renewable gasoline that's almost 100% renewable. We do have to denature with a little bit of gasoline in the ethanol, but you know, we're on the forefront of that, and we've partnered with Pearson Fuels as part of that. But that's just the tip of the iceberg for World Energy. We're looking to get into many more things, into the renewable natural gas, renewable propane, renewable hydrogen. You know, the way we look at it, whatever we can do to help you lower your carbon footprint, that's where we're going to go. Our customers are the ones that dictate how we operate. And so if they have a need, we're always looking for the opportunity to make that happen. We are where you are. So we don't have any limitations. What we say, and I think a lot of the folks on the leadership team and the folks that go out and sell our products will say is, we think out of the box. So give us the opportunity and we'll find a way to make it happen for you. Our goal, again, is to supply you with a low carbon solution and to make your fleet better each day. And as I said before, it's all about sustainability. It's where we're going. And we look forward to partnering with the folks out there that are interested in working with World Energy. Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much, John, for your presentation, and thank you to all our panelists for introducing what you are doing in this space. Just as a reminder, please, for those who are participating, if you have questions for our panelists, please enter them in the chat box, and we will get to as many as possible. I know there are a lot of questions coming in, a lot of interesting topics to discuss. So hopefully on this fleet recipe for biofuels, you now have a few ingredients to work with, right? We've talked with a variety of fuels, variety of energy sources, engine types, on the road, in the air. So let's continue the discussion. So Patty, I wanted to start with you. You know, as a fleet outside of California, how were you able to make these biofuels financially make sense for your fleet? And can you give advice to those outside of California to how to make the economics work?
So we are lucky enough to be able to, buy our ultra low sulfur diesel directly from terminals. We have our own transport equipment. As I've shown you, we have our own tanks. The biodiesel goes out for competitive bid. So right now, especially with the dollar blenders credit in place, it makes it a lot more economical. And we also are registered to deal in the RINs. So we have a lot of things that we can do to help bring those prices down. For other fleets that aren't in California, know your state incentives. There are a number of states that have some type of tax incentive. Also, reach out to your vendors and make sure you're getting the best possible pricing. If you know other fleets in your area that are interested in biofuels, see if you can get into a purchasing co-op that could potentially, give you volume discounts. And I think lastly, if your organization is really committed to sustainability and using biofuels, you just need to plan your budget for the possibility that you might be paying a few cents more.
Excellent, Patty. And John, you both have customers in California as well as outside. Any thoughts of ways that your fleets outside of California have made the economics work?
John, you want to go first, or would you like me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think that the way we look at it is we work with our customers both inside the state of California and outside California, but we're able to deliver a fair price on fuel. We have the luxury of manufacturing some of our own fuel in California, and we're able to provide a pretty rateable gallon to our customers. But I think the one thing that we try to do is be competitive on our price, but also rateable, so that customers know they can come to us and have a quality product.
What I'd say is that outside of California, when you're inside of California, certainly getting into those extreme low carbon intensities makes a lot of sense. So you're going to get a lot of LCFS credits generated. Even in Oregon, you get a lot of CFP credits generated on top of the RINs that you're generating. When you're outside of California, what I'd recommend is getting into something more like landfill gas, something that's a little bit higher in that intensity. It's going to generate the same D3 RINs, a lot of the same value from the RFS program to get your price down. But, from a carbon intensity, it's going to run a little bit higher.
If you look today, right now, at the heating oil price where we're at a discount close to 20 cents on heating oil. So again, couldn't have a better time right now to be buying biomass fuel.
Right. And then thinking, maybe John Somerset, will start with you on this one. There are multiple fuels that you work with, and the customers have lots of options. So how do you help fleets navigate the biofuels landscape and figure out what works for them?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It depends on the customer. There's so many different ways that we can help, and it really depends on the individual situation. But, to speak broadly, to speak high level, there's a series of different factors. First and foremost, we want to understand what that customer's existing fleet is doing, how it's being used. So from the duty cycles to the downtime to the route details, such as like the mileage, environmental factors, such as are you in the north where you're facing cold climates? Do you see a lot of the ups and downs in terms of elevation with your routes? But Also, are you using return to base applications? Are you doing dedicated routes? Items like that. From there, it's what are the financial and sustainability goals of the individual customer? So, how large a fleet transition are you planning to do? How large a transition are you open to? Understanding some of the utility details, some of the pricing. So from the start, really, what is your land availability? Are you talking about adding new areas, new fueling types? Are you talking about expanding upon that? What kind of setback distances do we have to work with in terms of installing new infrastructure? But then on the utility side, it's electric capacity as well as electric pricing. The pressure of your pipeline natural gas that's coming in, do we have to add to that? And then as we start talking about, you mentioned multitude of fuels. So let's talk about some of the future fuels here. So water pricing on the utility side is going to be an item of conversation, water quality. So depending on that, if you're talking hydrogen, you're going to be in need of a good quality of hydrogen. And then we have to consider the pricing of the water there too. But from there, really it's about presenting a lot of the details that are available, those different fuel types, the different financial incentives, and what that's going to look like, as well as some of the environmental gains, what that's going to mean in terms of your sustainability. And then talking about with its station, do you want a public option? Do you want a hybrid of public/private option? What it means for being an anchor customer and bringing other fleets into your station and the kind of revenue that can be generated. All these details discussed, from there, let's jump in. Let's just develop that station. For us as an organization, we talk about a multitude of fuels, and we can handle the associated paperwork with all of them. We're certainly a qualified trader in RFS and RINs, as well as we deal with the other credit programs as well. And really, we work with that regardless of fuel type. And once the station is active, multiple fuel types, polyfueling, as we say, let us operate and manage that equipment, and we can handle all of the paperwork going forward. All of the revenue generated, we can share that with you and deal with that.
Excellent. And John Zeidler, any thoughts to add to that?
Well, I think John hit a lot of really important points. The one thing that I would say is understanding the customer and their needs, and that's one thing that I think we really emphasize with our customers is we can do a multitude of fuels and blends. So it really can meet if they want a 95-5 blend or an 80-20 blend, we can meet those needs. And if it's a costing or if it's more of a sustainability and lowering the CI, we're all about working with customers. But again, it's about what the customer needs and us making sure we can fulfill that. Excellent.
And Chung, going to you. So you look at a multitude of fuels as well as engine technologies. So there's a question specifically about many types of Cummins engines can now be powered by biodiesel instead of diesel. And what was the process of facilitating a transition like this?
So basically, we look at the fuel and compare to our current diesel engine technology. So we evaluate the fuel property and see if that will be suitable for drop-in fuel. And luckily, the biodiesel, the property characteristics are very close to diesel fuel. So we could use that as a drop-in fuel, especially when we blend it up to 20%. And when we blend it more than 20%, as I mentioned earlier, that will have some other concern that emission will be one of them. But other than that, it's just when customer demand, always two driving force, the customer demand, they want to use the fuel, and the other one is government mandate. So then we will evaluate the fuel and check everything from emission perspective, engine durability, performance perspective.
Excellent. And then some Cummins engines can also be powered by paraffinic fuels. And they're an alternative diesel with lower sulfur and aromatics. So what are the advantages of this type of fuel over biodiesel?
Could you repeat that again?
Yeah, so talking about paraffinic fuels. So what are the advantages of using this versus biodiesel?
So the major advantage of that paraffinic fuel is the paraffinic fuel doesn't have the oxygen functional group compared to the biodiesel. So the stability is better than biodiesel, and paraffinic fuel is very similar to diesel fuel. In diesel, that already have 70% up to 90% of paraffin chemistry inside the diesel fuel. So paraffinic fuel is the very good drop-in fuel. You pretty much don't need to check anything on the diesel engine. And the chemistry itself, they don't have the oxygen group in it, so the combustion temperature is lower, so you will reduce the NOx emission a little bit, and paraffin also reduce the PM because there's no aromatics in it. So I mean, it come out a lot of good advantage in terms of emission perspective, and I think one superior to the biodiesel is the NOx. That would be a major advantage, and also the storage. I mean, the stability of the fuel compared to the biodiesel. But I mean, I'm not saying the biodiesel is bad. I mean, as long as biodiesel meet the quality perspective, biodiesel is still a good fuel to use as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you, Chung. And so building on that, Patty, so at Florida Power and Light, you use a combination of electric, hybrid, and biodiesel to power your fleet. So why the combination approach versus just choosing one horse? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So I'm sure you've all heard, there is no silver bullet as far as alternatives are concerned. So layering biofuels and technologies is really a great way to get the best reduction in emissions. So if you have a truck that's getting improved fuel economy because it's a hybrid, and then you use biodiesel to power it, you're getting a much larger reduction in emissions than you can with either alone. In addition, we have some plug-in hybrid bucket trucks that you can have the boom in the air, run the air conditioning, and provide auxiliary power for hand tools without the engine idling. So we're using that technology so the engine's not idling while the truck is in the field. And then when the engine is running, it's running on biodiesel. So it's really giving us, a maximum reduction in emissions that we can get.
Thank you, Patty. And so we've been talking about on the road a good deal. So John Zeidler, thinking about going into the sky, so renewable jet fuel. Why did you transition to that market? And what has been different about your fuel for aircraft use rather than ground transportation?
Well, it's a good question, Rebecca. And we really didn't transition to it. It was really what our customer was asking for. We do make jet fuel out there, and the person that was running Altair at the time decided to work with United, and out of the box thinking again by our leadership team to sign up a United as a sustainable aviation fuel customer, and then to partner with Shell Aviation, and then work with KLM. So this is just another extension of World Energy. We're into renewable diesel, we're into renewable jet, renewable green gasoline. It's just what our customers were looking for, and especially in the airline industry, we really wanted to meet those demands. And it says a lot about our product when you can put a reputable airlines like United and put our fuel in there, and they get to fly that every day. So very, very excited about the relationship.
Wonderful. And John Somerset, so U.S. Game recently completed construction on a private natural gas fueling station for Testa Produce, saving Testa both time and money, and gave them the ability to refuel on site. So can you tell us about that experience, what it was like, and are you working on similar projects with other companies?
Yeah, no, certainly. Excellent question. I appreciate it. So Testa's been a fun project. They've been a great customer as well. Testa, really they had a fleet of NGVs that were fueling their vehicles en route. So they were utilizing public CNG stations and a network there and paying a little bit more than they really needed to. They decided to add a private time-filling CNG refueling station at their facility. So really the driver time to refuel on public CNG networks really the out-of-network miles, the dwell time, and being in traffic, is unpredictable. They had to wait in line to be able to get to the fueling as well. It's just inconvenient, and it increased a lot of the driver cost and added a lot in terms of additional wear and tear on their vehicles. So with the station that we've provided there, the return to base thought that they have now, the drivers can return to the warehouse, they can plug in their trucks on a time fill hose, and when they return for their next shift, really the vehicle, it's fueled up and it's ready to go on the next route. So for them, it's providing a more predictable schedule for the drivers. It's eliminating a lot of those outer route miles that I talked about, that the driving and waiting time for the public fueling, the wear and tear on their vehicles from that as well. Ultimately, really, this is a better experience for their drivers. And for food, for getting delivery, as Testa, it's really the key here is being able to deliver product quickly, on time, get it to their customers. So it improved a lot upon that. And the site was also designed not only as time fill, but to have fast fill capabilities as well for what I had talked about before, some of those slip seat operations, to where they'd have the ability going forward, they're future-proofing their infrastructure here, to be able to do a quick top-off on trucks. So it allows them some further flexibility in the business model to be able to address future customer needs that might change as well. And you also talked about similar projects. So, we recently completed a time fill station for Moreno Valley Unified School District, so a very different mode of transportation. That was done for Moreno in California there. And we're under construction on 2 additional CNG fueling stations in California. There's a time fill site, and then there's a public fast fill site in the ports of Long Beach and LA. So similar projects that we're doing, and I'll just note that, as I mentioned, compressed natural gas, we talk about renewable natural gas, and RNG, CNG, it's the same thing. A natural gas station is a natural gas station. It's just a question of which supply it's actually coming from. So
Excellent. Well, wonderful. So with the last 4 minutes, we have numerous questions, but I want to ask a question of each of you. I'm starting with Chung. So how has COVID-19 actually impacted your company's commitment to the transition to cleaner energy? And how have your operations adjusted as well? So Chung, any thoughts from the Cummins Technical Center perspective? How has COVID-19 changed things for you guys?
So basically, the only thing we have changed is the company asks us to work from home. Other than that, we still deliver what we should deliver within past few months. So I don't think COVID-19 have impact company's strategy in terms of how we pursue the cleaner energy technology in terms of our engine development. So everything will remain the same. We haven't changed any strategy in terms of the COVID-19. Even that, we kind of become more busy because we have a lot of deliverable, but we won't be able to work in the office. So it's kind of slowed down at the beginning, but I think we have been catch up. So everything is going fine. Nothing has changed our policy. We're still pursuing the cleaner energy technology from Cummins' perspective.
Excellent. Patty, what about from your perspective? So you're still on mute, Patty.
It hasn't changed our company's commitment at all. We are committed, to sustainable transportation, sustainable energy. We have had to alter our operations a bit, rotating through the office and keeping people apart. But as far as our commitment to sustainability and our sustainability initiatives, it really hasn't had any effect.
Is it John Zeidler?
It's brought us closer together as a company, to be honest with you. Rebecca, it's a great question. I have to tell you, running manufacturing and folks, the first thing is, are employees safe? And the answer is yes. And, we learned a lot about ourselves because in our market, we work with a lot of different veg oils and animal and fats, right? And so not as much restaurants are open, so there's not a lot of used cooking oil out there. The packing plants had a COVID outbreak themselves, and our management team did one heck of a pivot in the middle of May and decided to take in other products that we could get more readily available when there was a shortage of another one. So meeting a heck of a lot more, which is good, and still delivering to our customers, and that's the most important thing.
Excellent. And John Somerset?
Yes, a great question. And from an organizational standpoint, I'd say what's been really exciting is just a family-run organization. We have a lot of commitment to our employees, and so John talked to this as well. We've been working from home, and we've been working from home right towards the start of this from an early March. But additionally, we pivoted to some really exciting things within our lubricants division. We had production of the antibacterial, the solutions that were necessary to be able to start, wiping down different surfaces to be able to actually eliminate the virus, to be able to clean things up properly. But coming back to the fuel side, so we have had a strong commitment really to transitioning to cleaner energy, and that didn't change with COVID and when that came around. What I'd say is that we've just had a better ability to talk about some of the future fuels that we've been excited about. So hydrogen, electric, there's a lot more people that have time to talk about these, and we get into these polyfueling conversations, from talking the biofuels that we can help provide, biodiesel, talking RNG, to then talking hydrogen and electric as well. So we've seen a decrease in demand from some of our customers, some of the unified school districts, of course. There's really not a lot of transportation going on there at this point. We've seen a decrease in demand from some of the smaller shuttle applications as well. But in the meantime, from an operational standpoint, and this starts to get into some of the general Q&A that I've seen come through, talking about the supply available for renewable natural gas. So with that reduction in some of the demand on certain functions, certain transit types, we've seen an increase in demand from like Class 8 over-the-road trucking, so some of those different modes. And as a result, we've really been ramping up our operations in terms of developing our RNG development sites, getting those up and running, increasing the supply. And honestly, if you look at some of the data behind all of this, Argus Consulting, Argus Consulting is an organization that looks at some of the RFS credit market, and they talk about that we're expecting a 14% year-over-year increase in D3 RINs right now. But in terms of demand, we are going to need over a 30% increase. So this kind of justifies, and it's why we've taken this long-term view as an organization and really started ramping up, getting those development sites up and running.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, and thank you all for your response on that. And now more than ever, the world needs cost-effective biofuel solutions, and we're seeing with the COVID outbreak the increased discussion around the need for improved air quality to create resilient individuals and resilient communities. So thank you to each of you for the work you're doing to improve air quality and create a better environment for all of us. So thank you for that. And so with our last few minutes, we a few questions. We have many questions coming through Q&A. Try to highlight some of them. And one was on a topic that we haven't touched thus far. So John Zeidler, what are you doing on carbon capture, and how does that fit in with your other fuel solutions?
That's a great question. By the way, it's John Zeidler. So
Zeidler, sorry, John.
Well, we're working with everyone that we partner with, from feedstock to our commercial. So the whole natural work team, where we get the product, how we get the product, is very, very important. And it's really about lowering the carbon intensity score. So the products that we're buying from a feedstock, how we get the product to the manufacturing plant, if we in fact manufacture, or if we buy third party. So we look at all that. We've also have been working on a very robust ESG initiative within the company, and so it's very, very important that the end user knows where our product's coming from.
Excellent. And Chung, looking on the innovative fronts of term carbon capture, what are the trends that you are seeing and opportunities for greater use of diesel-electric hybrid vehicles and the use of biodiesel, renewable diesel in those hybrids?
Is there a question for me?
Yes, Chung. So
okay.
What are the trends and opportunities you're seeing for greater use of diesel, electric hybrid vehicles, and then also incorporating biodiesel and renewable diesel in those hybrids?
So basically, I would see the opportunity will be similar. It's all rely on customer demand. So the engine we develop, the hybrid system, they were also suitable for biodiesel or renewable diesel as well. So I think in coming to the end, will be rely on customer. If the customer want to fill up the fuel with the renewable diesel, they can fill that fuel up. So I would see in the California, the government are pushing the zero emission quite a lot. So I think the demand in that region will increase because there are so many benefits out from using the renewable fuel from that region. But not all the region will have the similar push. But I would say it depends on government demand and government mandate, also the customer desirability.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chung. Well, thank you to all of our panelists today for all the information you have shared with us. Thank you for the excellent work you're doing to continue to move biofuels forward and improve the environment. I hope for those participating today that this has given you some food for thought and helped you see all the options available to you on the ground or in the air to continue to improve your sustainability and reduce your emissions. So with that, we're going to wrap up, and thank you again today for your participation, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rebecca.